Welcome again to our channel, and today we're going to be discussing about the methodology. So methodology is the most important thing in ethical hacking because in here it is like your secret weapon or your sword, your gun in case of a fight or in case of a hack. So in here, as I said in the past video, write down all of my techniques. So in this methodology, in this session, forget first about the hacking or the gaining access part. Today we're gonna be focusing on some situation like, what if you are stuck? So most of us are stuck because we do not know how to proceed on how to hack this machine. Most of us, mostly beginners, are experiencing this kind of problem. So they don't know what to do next. So methodology can help you to get out of that experience of being stuck. Okay, so in here we will teach you how to create a methodology and some enumerating skills, because based on my experience, if you are stuck, then probably you lack some information, or your enumeration is not enough, or your methodology is not enough. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so taking down notes is very important. So in methodology is just taking down notes, every move that you can do in every situation. So some say that they can memorize the techniques, that they don't need to take notes. Well, for some people, yes, but for most of the people, taking down notes is very important. So why? Well, there will be times that you will be stressed, okay, that there's a lot of problem, and you will experience that some of the small details of your methodology or some of the small details of your strategy will be, you will forget. Then in some cases you will experience that, and I know some of my students, and they are so good, but when they are not looking at their methodology, then there's a lot of times that they will forget something in the strategies that they made. So okay, let's start. So that's why methodology is very important. Even though you are the greatest hacker, or you're the best hacker in the world, you need methodology, because we people, or we hackers, are not built as machines. We're built as human that tend to forget something, especially if we're not in our mood to remember things. So in here, we're gonna be using what they call cherry tree. So cherry tree is a documenting tool that most of the hackers use. So you can click the Windows button, then type cherry tree, then cherry tree must be here, then click. So new instance. Okay, so that's my documentation in virtual hacking labs. So in here, most probably you will end up seeing this. Okay, and after that, just click this, add a node. Okay, Then let's put here, for example, methodology. Actually, by clicking this, okay, you can choose an icon for your methodology. Well, it's up to you. So that's one of the good thing here, but I won't be using any icon. So the good thing in Cherry Tree is you can add subnode to each subject or each main subject. So there's a sub topic in a main topic. So let's add 3 main topics in our methodology, because hacking is composed of these 3 subtopics. First is the enumeration. Then right click again the methodology and add subnode. Exploitation. Then right click in a methodology again for privilege escalation. So in enumeration, as you can see in our past video, in enumerating a machine, there's a lot of open ports that you will encounter. So for example, let's add a subnode here. Let's put nmap in order for us to put the results of our nmap. So for example, in our last video, if you don't see the lesson 1, please go back to the lesson 1. In there, we use nmap to see the open ports. Okay, so right click again in the enumeration, add subnode, then HTTP, add subnode again, HTTPS, add subnode again, SMB, add subnode again, FTP, add subnode again, SSH. So I think I will just show you the basic, but if you'd have another technique in mind, then probably you can add here in your methodology. Actually, the significance of this methodology is, as I experience encountering or as I experience teaching this methodology, most of the time my students create their own methodology based on their skills, characteristics, and so on. So your methodology depends on who you are, mostly. So don't expect that we will have the same methodology. So it's up to you. So depends on your skills, your experience, and so on. So it's better to hone your methodology as the time goes by. So what I'm showing you as of now is just a basic or a point where you can start your own methodology. You know, the points that you can still, if you're a beginner, well, you can understand. So okay, so in nmap we can do a lot in nmap. So number 1 is you can scan top 1000 common ports. Then another is you can also scan all ports from 1 to 65,535. Then you can also scan UDP ports. Okay, the cat is crying. Okay, so after the UDP ports, I think we're good with this as of now. Okay, so as the time goes by, we will add additional techniques in this methodology that we will create. So there's a long journey for us. So in this sessions, so you will encounter that we will in different sessions that we will add much more advanced techniques in these methodologies. But for now, let's go to the basics. So in here, scanning the top 1000 common ports, as you can see, last video we did this. So SV is for software version, then the IP address. Let's put a sample IP address. So for example, 75. So in order for you not to be, for example, you stop hacking for 3 months, then probably you will forget the option SV or the option SC. So if you have methodology, then probably it will help you to remember what are these options. So it's good thing to put here what is the use of those options. So software version, app scripts. So number 2, scan all ports from 1 to 65,535. So you can put here why we are doing this. So if there's nothing in number 1, doing this can give you another option. Okay, why? Because again, in the number 1, we're just scanning the top 1000 common ports. So remember that it is not literally port 1 to 1000. Okay, I said top 1000 common ports. Okay, so the 8080, even though 8080 is not within the 1 to 1000, 8080 is part of the top 1000 common ports. So let's be clear on that. So if there's nothing in number 1, doing this, so np-p, then 10.10.10, okay, the IP address. So -p- is the culprit or the command that scan each ports from 1 to 65,535. Well, if you want to scan a specific range, then you can do this. -p, for example, 1 to 100. Okay, so you can do this. So when is the time that we will do this? If you know that, for example, in some capture the flag, they told you that the vulnerable port is within 1 to 100, then you can do this. Well, in real life, I'm not sure if it will you can use this, but just to be sure. So in scanning UDP ports, it's like just number 1, but again, in the networking, we have the TCP port and the UDP port. So TCP port mostly that is being used mostly in the common software, But sometimes if there's nothing in number 1 and there's nothing in number 2, then probably in UDP you can see something. So dash capital dash S capital U. So you can also do this. Okay. Another note here. Sometimes because you are scanning a lot of ports in number 2, imagine 65,535. Sometimes it gives you a false positive or false positive in software version. So it is giving you a false software name. So in order to validate if it is really the software running in that port, do this. For example, in here, port 21, or what are the uncommon ports? Okay, let's say 9505. Okay, let's say, okay, let's put it here. Let's say you found an open port in 9505. Then nmap-p and 9505, then dash sv, then the IP address. I'll just Control S in order to save this, then just click OK. Then let's put it in the root. Then let's type methodology. Then save. Okay, so let's say you found an open port in 9505. Okay, so this will validate if the software version that it gives you is really the software that it is running. Okay, so we can put it here. So by doing this, it checks the software version. Okay, so after that scanning thingy here, let's go to the HTTP. If HTTP is open, why I put wordings here, not the port number? Because again guys, port number can be changed. So for example, HTTP default port number is port 80, but it can be changed into something like 113 or 2020, 8000, and something like that. So it is very important for you to know that it can be changed. Okay, so the number one thing that we should do if HTTP is open, then browse the website. Okay, so check for the website. Okay, so check each page, check its source code. Maybe there's some comment in the section, or there's something fishy, or there's some credentials out there. There's some login forms that you can bypass using weak credentials. Browse the website. Okay, so this is the problem of some hackers. They dive in the exploitation already without doing the enumeration first, or without browsing the website first? Well, the golden rule here in hacking is never go to exploitation if you think you've done not enough in the enumeration part. So enumerate first. Be patient in enumerating before going to exploitation, so that maybe you can you're diving in the exploitation already, but there's another much more much easier path, but you didn't know it because you already dive into exploitation. So number 2 is check for robots.txt. So check for robots.txt. So what is robots.txt? Well, robots.txt is being used by website owners because they don't want those directories within this robots.txt to be shown in the Google search engine or in the web crawlers. So that's why they are putting the confidential directories in the robots.txt. Okay, so that's the significance of robots.txt. And of course, for hackers, it is very, very important to check for the robots.txt because, of course, they are hiding it. So for us, it's important. Then next is the directories. So check for directories. So in the directories, we can use a lot of already made tools in order to search for directories automatically in a certain website. They say we can use derb or dirbuster, but I'm not recommending it because it's slower than GoBuster and dirsearch. So if you want to a much faster directory search, then I recommend using dirsearch and GoBuster. So in dirsearch, actually you can read the documentation of this in order for you to know how to use this, but mostly it's Python 3, then the research.py. Well, first git clone the research in its git repo. Okay, then Python 3 this research.py, then -u for the URL, then the URL, of course. So for example, 10.10.10.75. Well, if you're asking me if HTTP is required here, well, no. Okay, so next is extension. So -e, the extension is, for example, HTML, PHP. Then if it is Windows, running Windows, maybe ASP or ASPX, sometimes TXT, sometimes SH. Then I think that will do. Then for GoBuster, you can install it, I think, in your Kali by just using this GoBuster. But if not, then you can search for it, why it's not installing in your Kali Linux. So maybe you need to update first. Again, maybe you need to update first before you doing this app install GoBuster. So because, well, let's put it here. Maybe you need this. Then after that, GoBuster, then dir, then I think it's -u. Well, if it's not, then you will you can search for it. So in GoBuster, it is needed, the HTTP. Then dash W is the path of your word list. So for example, in my case, it's a word RACU txt, or okay. So just change this into the path of your directory list. So how can you find your directory list? So go here in your terminal, just locate derp, or locate word list. Okay, so you can see different word lists here that you can use as a word list for your directory search. So you can use this, I think. So a certain word list for directory search. Maybe because this RACU, they say RACU is the common word list, but I think RACU.txt is much better for password cracking. Then maybe you can use dirbust or dirbin directory search word list. So after that, you can do check for software and version. So after you see the directories, then check for software and version. Why? Because if actually this is the golden, let's put gold. Why this is gold? Because if you saw a certain software, then probably you can Google out that software if it has an existing exploit for it. So you can see, and you're very fortunate if it has also a version. Why? Because you can search that specific version in Google or in SearchPloit in order for you to know if there's an existing possible exploit for this. So search for possible exploit for this software. So we can use search exploit or Google. So for example, last time, in last vid, we exploited our machine using the NibbleBlog software. Because NibbleBlog is vulnerable in some exploit. So we found a software called NibbleBlog and we Google out if there's an existing exploit. So let's try if we can find some exploit in SearchPloit in the NibbleBlog. And tada! We found this. So in order to get this exploit, you can search exploit -m, then the number. This is unique, okay? The number name is unique, so you can just type in 35865, then enter. Then tada! it is already in your existing directory. So we can just cut 35865.txt. Then it says that prone to multiple SQL injection vulnerabilities because so it says that Nibble 3.0, Nibbleblock 3.0 is affected. Other versions may also be vulnerable. So in the enumeration part, okay, this is one of the sickness of the hackers in the wild. So if they saw an exploit, they will dig deeper on that exploit already without listing all of the possible exploits for that software. So the first thing that you must do is to list all of the possible exploits so that you have options. Okay? So that you have options. If the exploit A doesn't work, then you have exploit B, you have exploit C, you have exploit D. Okay? It's a trial and error. Okay? So that's why some of the people are stuck because they think that the first one or the first exploit that they saw is must be working. Okay? So they waste their time modifying the scripts, doing the exploit without knowing that there's a much easier exploit in the wild in order to hack the machine. Okay, so we will continue this enumeration part in the next video, and see you tomorrow again for the continuation or the part 2 of this video. Okay, so thank you for watching.